Buenos días, good morning, how are you? Bienvenidos, buenos días a todas, a todos. Y lo primero, dejarme que agradezca a la ciudad de Logroño y a la comunidad autónoma de La Rioja que nos reciba en este Consejo Informal. El Consejo Informal de Ministros del Interior con ocasión de la presidencia española. Yo creo que va a ser un día importante porque vamos a poder debatir de esos asuntos o cuestiones que de cara al final de la legislatura del Parlamento, de esta legislatura de la Unión Europea, pues son realmente claves. En primer lugar, hablaremos del pacto migratorio, recordando cómo el Consejo del 8 de junio pasado fue especialmente importante porque dimos un avance en relación a dos de los reglamentos base, como es el de gestión y como es el de procedimiento. Tenemos ahí el reglamento de crisis y espero que también podamos en las próximas fechas conseguir un acuerdo, un general approach y que nos permita ya también concluir los trílogos con el Parlamento y la Comisión. Otra de las cuestiones importantes, como es obvio, y después de que continuamos enfrentando la invasión ilegítima de Ucrania, es cuál es la situación de Ucrania, cuál es la situación desde el punto de vista también de la seguridad interior de la Unión Europea. Recordando cómo estamos trabajando de forma relevante y monitorizando el tráfico ilícito de armas y de seres humanos que normalmente va unido a cuestiones como la invasión. Pero recordando nuestro compromiso con Ucrania, toda la ayuda que sea necesaria e imprescindible y también evidentemente con su población y con su sociedad. Más de 4 millones de ucranianos tienen protección temporal dentro de todos los 27 Estados miembros de la Unión Europea. Cuestión también importante que será objeto de debate es la criminalidad organizada y dentro de la criminalidad organizada el tráfico de drogas. El incremento que hemos podido observar en distintos países de la Unión Europea, el potencial de la criminalidad organizada de infiltrarse dentro de nuestras instituciones y la necesidad de afrontarlo con la contundencia necesaria dentro de lo que es el Estado de Derecho. Pero eso también, creando nuevas alianzas, o más que creando, fortaleciendo nuevas alianzas con otras regiones, como por ejemplo Latinoamérica. Recordando que en el Consejo ya formal High del 28 de septiembre próximo en Bruselas ya está previsto que tengamos una reunión ministros del Interior de la Unión Europea con ministros del Interior del CLASE, del Comité Latinoamericano de Seguridad Interior. Y finalmente otro de los debates importantes, como lo es siempre en las grandes democracias, cómo afrontar la delincuencia organizada, la delincuencia en este caso online, y respetando evidentemente los derechos y libertades fundamentales, cómo dar los instrumentos necesarios a nuestras fuerzas y cuerpos de seguridad del Estado para hacer frente a todas las amenazas que utilizan y se sirven de las nuevas tecnologías para causar el daño, causar el mal. Cómo poder conjugar, vuelvo a decir, ese equilibrio, conseguir ese equilibrio entre derechos fundamentales y también la necesidad de hacer frente a un riesgo evidente para la convivencia en las sociedades democráticas. Cualquier pregunta que queráis. Siempre, always we have thought about we have to work together, we have to strengthen our cooperation with third countries, with countries of origin, of transit. I think that memorandum like Tunisia, like with other third countries, is the way we have to take if we want to be succeed in our fight against irregular migration. But when we are talking about irregular migration, we want to work in legal migration, safety and safety migration. I think that is the way, because this is the external dimension, and we have to work quite close with third countries to avoid irregular migrations and to at the end to be more effective.
And how do you ensure that the human rights of migrants are actually ensured? Because we see reports of
For us, fundamental rights is the only way to fight against irregular migrations. There is no any kind of problem about that. We only face the fight against irregular migrations with fundamental rights. No way, there is no way about other way.
How do you want to prevent it in the future? How do you want to prevent it?
To prevent irregular migration, working with third countries, origin countries, transit countries, comprehensive cooperations. That is the way we have to do.
But how do you prevent violations of fundamental rights in Tunisia?
For us, I have to say again, fundamental rights is the only way for EU. Only is our values. It's the only way to respect.
Ministro, ¿algún avance concreto en el reglamento de crisis que cree que se puede impulsar desde aquí hoy?
Estamos avanzando, nuestros equipos técnicos están también trabajando de una forma importante durante todo este periodo y esperemos que antes de la finalización de este mes podamos tener lo que es la postura del Consejo y podamos también iniciar los trílogos respecto al reglamento de crisis. Estamos trabajando en ello y es nuestra prioridad. It doesn't matter at this moment. We are working in the presidency. The election, the general election, will be next Sunday, but it's not. This is not a problem for. Of course, but I have to say the extension to Schengen too. Yes, we are trying to work in that way because we think and we believe in a more strong Schengen space, and for us, a stronger Schengen space is with all of us inside, with the full incorporation. But of course, we have to work for that.
Ministro, ¿están asumiendo los puntos más difíciles en el debate de hoy para encontrar un modus de emergencia o para un caso de emergencia en relación a más migrantes que vienen?
La cuestión de hoy, fundamentalmente, como he dicho, eran los 4 puntos que os he señalado y, desde luego, dentro del pacto migratorio es, después del avance, como también he indicado, del 8 de junio pasado, pues concluirlo, tener ya una postura definitiva sobre todos los reglamentos y poder hacer los trílogos. Pero también trabajar, y siempre lo hemos dicho, España lo ha dicho desde el principio, desde que el gobierno del presidente Sánchez, en trabajar la dimensión exterior. Siempre hemos hablado de que la cuestión migratoria es una cuestión Europa y terceros países y tenemos que trabajar en la dirección óptima para que podamos hacer frente a la inmigración irregular, a las redes que ponen en riesgo la vida de muchos seres humanos, los más vulnerables, y eso hacerlo compatible, como digo, con la migración legal, segura y ordenada. No hay ninguna incompatibilidad al respecto, con lo cual lo que debemos establecer, y estamos trabajando en ello, es en relaciones estructurales con terceros países. Siento ser un poco parco a la hora de contestarte, pero estoy aquí como presidente del Consejo y entenderás que de las cuestiones nacionales no pueda ni deba hacer ninguna referencia. Y en ese sentido, lo único que puedo indicar es que la presidencia de la Unión Europea por parte de España en este último tramo de la legislatura está preparada desde hace tiempo, estamos trabajando y con independencia de lo que pueda ocurrir, la presidencia va a seguir trabajando y va a seguir esforzándose y dando lo mejor de sí para que muchos de los dosieres que están pendientes ya de aprobación definitiva pues concluyan positivamente. Muchas gracias. Nos vemos.
Yes, it is a nice good hotel place. See the view of the place. It's going to make the success of your presidency, so thank you.
Buon lavoro in Italia. Grazie. Good morning. It's great to be here in Logroño and in Spain. And I very much appreciate that the Spanish presidency are putting so much emphasis on the fight against organized crime and the drug trafficking. We had a few days ago the Latin America summit with a statement really stressed the importance to work together against drug trafficking. And we will follow up on that today in this informal council, how we can better have police cooperation also across the Atlantic. I was earlier this year in Latin America, and now we are well advanced on the negotiations on Europol agreement with several Latin American countries. Why is this important? Because it takes a network to fight a network. The organized criminal groups that are involved in drug trafficking are increasingly professional, increasingly international, and increasingly violent. So I'm grateful for the Spanish presidency to put this on the agenda. We will also touch base on the situation in Ukraine, and specifically when it comes to the important security cooperation to avoid that we have a situation of weapons from Ukraine coming into the European Union. I was recently in Kyiv, and we have a very good cooperation with the Minister of Interior in Ukraine, and they have just decided to launch an action plan against firearms. So we have an excellent cooperation, both political and police cooperation with Ukraine. We will also talk about migration. As you know, we are very close to finalize the whole pact, but there are still some steps to go. And today we will continue in the good spirit from the last council, where we got a breakthrough agreement on the important part of the pact. Now we will focus on the last one, which is the crisis proposals that deals with extraordinary situations. And my reading is that member states are very close to find a general approach, and today is a way to find out what's necessary to take the last step to do that. Thank you.
How sustainable is it to outsource the burden of migrants to third countries like now Tunisia with the new memorandum of understanding? And how does the EU ensure that fundamental rights of migrants there are ensured? We see horrible reports of migrants being left in the desert without water. What is the EU doing here?
We are not outsourcing the responsibility for migration, but it's important if we would like to manage migration and avoid lives being lost, for example, in the Mediterranean, it's absolutely necessary to work also with partner countries. And Tunisia is such a partner country. I was there in the late April and agreed on the migration part in the memorandum of understanding. That includes that we are supporting third country nationals in Tunisia that voluntarily would like to go back to their country of origin and have some support for the reintegration. It includes that we are supporting Tunisia when it comes to prevention of these dangerous departures, that we are increasing police cooperation to fight the smugglers, that Tunisia has promised to more efficiently take back Tunisian citizens that are not eligible to stay in the EU, and that we together are investing in legal pathways. This is a comprehensive way of working together on migration. This is not an outsourcing.
Are you not afraid that we might see situations like in Libyan refugee camps where people from sub-Saharan Africa are deprived from their basic human rights?
There is a huge difference between Tunisia and Libya, I must say. Tunisia is a long-standing partner. But of course, there are challenges that we need to address. And we will now, in a few days, sign a new agreement with UNHCR with funding for these people that are left in the desert. It's absolutely necessary that they get the support. We cannot have people left under this condition. First, we need to finalize the trialogues, of course, so that we have an agreement. And the trialogues are well advancing since 8th of June, where they break through in the Council. And of course, when we have the whole legislation in place, it's always the role of the Commission to make sure that it's implemented. And we have also agreed that we should have a special focus on implementation plans for the whole pact. So I'm not nervous about that. Okay, thank you.
Good morning, everyone, and we are very happy to be here in Spain. As you well know, we handed over the presidency from Sweden to Spain just a couple of weeks ago, and we very much look forward now to support our Spanish colleagues in their efforts and their presidency. From our point of view, the fight against organized crime was a top priority for the Swedish presidency, and we are very happy that our Spanish colleagues will now continue that fight, and we will support them fully in that effort. If I should raise one aspect, we established in the very end of our presidency a high-level working group where the Commission and the Council will work closely over 12 months in order to get deep into the very critical topic about access to digital data for our law enforcement. We have then handed over the chairmanship for this high-level working group to our Spanish colleagues, and we will, of course, fully support them in that very critical work. Maria?
Okay. Buenos días, señores y señores. Me alegra muchísimo estar aquí. Qué bonito. So this is the first meeting with the Spanish presidency and after the Swedish presidency, and I'm really happy to be here. Today, during the session on migration, we will focus on the Crisis and Instrumentalization Act and on how to work in the external dimension in order to prevent crisis to occur. And I believe that the joint efforts towards Tunisia are an excellent example on how we must work in order to prevent crisis to occur and in order to prevent losses of lives on the Mediterranean. We will also, like I said, discuss the work on the Act regarding crisis and instrumentalization. I think it's important that we move forward with this in order to be able to find an agreement with the Parliament on the whole pact before the elections next year. And let me just stress how thankful I am for the great support that we have had from the Spanish incoming presidency when we were presidents, and I really appreciate our close cooperation. Thank you very much.
Ministers, Sweden is known as one of the hardliners when it comes to migration. Do you think that the agreement or the memorandum of understanding with Tunisia is the way to go forward for the EU when it comes to the management of the external dimension? We see that the Tunisian authorities are violating fundamental rights of migrants, especially from sub-Saharan Africa. For example, we saw that some were abandoned in the desert without any food or water. Is this really something that the EU should do in the future as well?
Like I said, I think it's crucial to work together in order to cooperate with countries of transit and countries of origin in order to prevent losses of lives, in order to prevent that it is the smugglers who decide who should come to Europe and not. Having said that, we must always monitor and make sure that the fundamental human rights are followed. And of course that is a very big job and something that also the Commission has to focus on. But it is important to cooperate with these countries, and I think it is the only way in order to prevent
Means more concretely, does the Commission have to prevent such violations of human rights in countries like Tunisia?
I think that when the European countries come together, we are a very strong voice towards third countries, and I think we have to show that we do come together and use that voice.
How is it possible to combine crisis and instrumentalization regulation?
Well, we worked hard on combining these into one act. I think that is very wise because instrumentalization is a sort of crisis situation, and we must have strong tools to prevent these ways of using human beings as an instrument for instance, hybrid wars. Thank you.
Thank you.
Buenos días. My name is Juan López Aguilar, and I'm honored to be the chair of the Committee of Liberty, Justice and Home Affairs of the European Parliament. The European Parliament is a lawmaking body. laws in the European Parliament, and we made laws related to security and home affairs, including migration and asylum, which ceased to be the competence of sovereign member states long ago. Now it's a field of action for the European Union in all. And we have been working on the Migration and Asylum Pact, this mandate of the European Parliament and the Commission, 2019 and 2024. We're well on the way on the negotiation on the new package. And we are aiming to make it final through the presidency, the Spanish presidency, this semester. It's window of opportunity, we shouldn't miss it. So we are striking the right balance between shared responsibility and binding solidarity in situation of crisis. The new package consists of 6 regulations, and now they are in the final track, the so-called trilogue, which is the negotiation between the European Parliament and the Council, which is the Council of Ministers of Home Affairs. We're talking about it. We are sending a message here. We need to keep the package approach, which means that all of the regulations make sense all together. They are intertwined, they're interrelated. And second, we need to finally make it right, to show the message of solidarity to the frontline member states, including Spain, those who are having irregular arrivals after search and rescue operations, calling for relocation programs, binding relocation programs, and a European framework for search and rescue. We have a chance to make it right, and we shouldn't miss it. And I'm sure that through the leadership of the Spanish presidency, we can have it, we can actually deliver. Should we not, that would be a major failure, not for the European Parliament, for the European Union, in all of the European Union citizens. We are facing elections June 2024. That is the message. That is a concern of some member states, and we understand that. We need to encompass all of the component elements of the equation. We know that in the Council of Ministers of Home Affairs, there are ministers particularly concerned about return. There are ministers particularly concerned about instrumentalization, particularly the Baltics. They're facing Belarus, a rogue state under the dictatorship of Alexander Lukashenko. And we have seen that. We have seen the instrumentalization of migrants. But having said this, we need to keep an eye on the real issues which are at stake. Having asylum procedures, having common guarantees, having external borders, common management under EU law, having an EU search and rescue framework, and having, of course, a kind of solidarity response in crisis situation. When there is a massive, unexpected, sudden influx of irregular arrivals to the frontline member states, particularly to the Mediterranean and to the Atlantic, which is the case of Spain, in the Canarian route to the EU, which happens to be the most perilous and the highest death toll, it takes solidarity and it takes relocations. So all of the component elements are to be discussed. Not easy. I know it's not easy. I know there will be compromising in the final track, and we're ready for that. But if we come the Council way, they should also come the European Parliament way. Thank you.
Good morning everybody. My name is Mari Rantanen and I'm Interior Minister of Finland. Our government have been now going on 1 month and this is my first EU meeting, and I'm so delighted to have it here in Logroño in Spain. And I'm waiting for a lot of discussions with my colleagues because we have very our government program have a lot of security oriented, and we have a lot of things to do with the immigration as well, which we are talking today here, and with the Spanish presidency also have these same topics. And I'm waiting for a lot and fruitful discussion with my European colleagues with these issues. Thank you.
What is the position of Finland regarding agreements with third countries on managing the external dimension of migration, like Tunisia?
Finland is supporting this kind of acts as well because, like a commissioner said, it's very important to try to avoid these tragedies in, for example, Mediterranean. So we are supporting this.
But now what we can see is that people's lives are in danger in the desert instead of the Mediterranean. How can the EU prevent that?
Like Commissioner said, we need to support, for example, Tunisia to take care of these people. Thank you.
Hello, good morning. I'm Minister of the Interior, Annelies Verlinde from Belgium. I'm very much looking forward to these discussions we will have today on organized crime, on the evaluation of the Schengen regime, also on the support we can continuously give to Ukraine. And as the incoming presidency of Belgium, as from the 1st of January 24, I think we need to keep discussing and also take forward the discussions that are very actual, very relevant for the European Union, and that's why I'm here today. Thank you.
So what is the position of Belgium when it comes to making alliances with third countries like Tunisia or Turkey, as we've seen as well, on migration deals? Don't you think that there's a chance that such countries' fundamental rights of migrants are going to be upheld, and how will the EU prevent that?
I think it's important that we keep our allies closely and that we make arrangements. By not making arrangements, we will not be able to solve the situation in Europe. And so it is important for the European countries to have good relationships, to develop relationships. Of course, that always also comes with duties and obligations. If we make deals, it needs to be a balanced deal, but I think it's important that we do so united in the European Union, because we do know that we do have a better position if we stand together and make those deals on a European level. Thank you.
How do we want to control these agreements with places like Tunisia?
I think we all realize that it's a very delicate and sensitive topic, but we need to do it and we will control. Of course, there is an arrangement with these countries. We do know that there are difficulties in terms of the situation, also the stability of the country, but still I'm convinced that it's important and better to have deals than to not make deals and then don't develop a relationship with these third countries. Thank you.
Do you think it's a little bit easy for the EU to outsource the burden of migrants to third countries and the external border of the EU so that the EU doesn't have to deal with them anymore?
But I don't think it's putting the hot potato in the basket of someone else. I think we all realize there is a problem given the geopolitical situation, the war in Ukraine, but also the climate situation in the African and the continent and the global south. We do realize that we need to fight the issue together, that we need to give people a future, and therefore we need also to make arrangements with third parties. If we don't do that, if we stop the dialogue, we will for sure not find a solution, and that's why I think it's important to do so without putting the burden on someone else. But it's important that every country, every continent takes a position and stands for its duties and rights and obligations, and that's what we're doing with these deals. Thank you.